All right, all right, all right. Welcome back, welcome back. I was gonna save this video for probably next week or a little bit later on, but a buddy of mine, him and his friends did a podcast on this debate, so I figure, if it's heating up again, we might as well just get this out of the way now. I already dropped the podcast on it, so you check it out. It's on Anchor, Spotify. Um, you may want to take a listen to it. It's pretty much going to be the same thing I'm about to discuss here. And that's the debate that everyone's had now over the course of a few years, right? Who's the GOAT of basketball? LeBron or is it Jordan? Now, everybody knows where I stand, all right? It's obviously Jordan, it's hands down. Um, everyone's got their own opinion, and, and then again, you're entitled to that. You're entitled to that opinion. But listen, if you're going to have the debate, then you got to be factual with things, okay? You could sit there and listen, and I got to hear this all the time. Well, LeBron scores more points than Jordan. Well, yeah. Here's why. I'll break this down for you real quick. Okay, right? It's as simple as this. Jordan played in a rougher, tougher era than LeBron ever could have. Okay? That's one. People tell me that that doesn't factor in. The hell it does, because it most certainly does factor in. It factors in many ways. Because if Jordan played in this era of basketball now, listen, it's a no-brainer. He has probably triple the scoring points he had throughout his whole career, and triple the assists, and triple the rebounds, and probably even more scoring titles than he had. Which, by the way, LeBron, we have one. Oh yeah, Jordan's got 9 more than you. So that right there doesn't even get you into the GOAT table, okay? And when you're discussing the GOAT status in the NBA, and this utterly pisses me off to no freaking end, because they make it Jordan LeBron when really the discussion should be Jordan Kobe. But nobody discusses it. Everybody always wanted to be like Mike. Kobe was the closest to ever being like Mike. They had the same fadeaway. You could never stop it. Jordan and Kobe played the game the same way. LeBron didn't. And what's funny is that you call these fans call LeBron a GOAT, and LeBron's the best thing since sliced bread and iced tea. But yet, does a GOAT leave teams and perennial salary cap hell with a shit roster to go form teams with Dwayne Wade and Tyrannosaurus Rex, friggin' Chris Bosh down in Miami, and then have this runway show of, oh yeah, we're gonna win not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but like 6 titles, right? Okay. How many did you win? How many did you win? You won 2. Now, let's talk about NBA Finals appearances. Jordan's been to 6. LeBron's been to 10. Okay? How many did Jordan win? 3 straight and 3 straight. With the year or a year and a half break between when he went to go play baseball, which he was putrid at. LeBron went to 10, right? Okay? And he won 4, which means you lost 6. So the 6 Jordan won was the 6 you lost. Okay? It's not hard math to figure out. Even I can figure it out, and I suck at math. There's just so many more. When you discuss GOAT status, accolades factor in. I don't care about your scoring, how many points you scored over the course of your career, because it's the accolades, it's championships, it's all that gets factored into this discussion. And I hear people saying, LeBron's got to win 7 to edge out Jordan. Well, no, because you see, you got to also edge out Kobe. See, you're the third wheel on this GOAT debate, right? You're the third wheel right now. So you got to edge out Kobe and Jordan, and that window's closing. You maybe got 4 years left, and you're not going to touch any of it. And for you to eclipse Jordan in NBA Finals victories, you have to run the table 4 years in a row. Can you do that? I don't think you can. And people also said, well, you know, Jordan had super teams for those three-peats. If you call having Scottie Pippen and Bill Cartwright and Horace Grant and B.J. Armstrong, Bill Wellington, Luke Longley, Tony Kukoc, Paxton, Steve Kerr, super teams? Man, are you dumb? That's not a super team. A super team is the bullshit you see now. Really? Really? Because let's go back to the Jordan era of basketball. Okay. So you have Jordan on the Bulls, you have Barkley who played for the Sixers and the Suns, you had Kemp and Payton over in Seattle, you had David Robinson over in San Antonio, you had Malone and Stockton in Utah, right? Amongst many others. You had Isaiah Thomas with Bill Laimbeer, you had Bird and McHale and Robert Parrish, and you had Magic and James Worthy. Okay? You had all these guys. Right? None of them ever formed a super team. You didn't see Magic calling up Bird saying, hey, you want to know something, Magic? Wouldn't it be fun if we got together and won a title for somebody else's team instead of the ones we're on? Because that's how LeBron made Cleveland feel the first time. Oh, well, I can't get it done here, but let me go get it done elsewhere. Oh, but I'll do it with somebody else's team and somebody else's star player. So in the event that shit hits the fan, I don't have to feel the onslaught. Wrong, because you do feel the onslaught for it. Because you're the guy who left your one team to come here, so you will be the focal point of that blame, and you always will be. See, Miami fans know that you didn't live up to the hype. They don't come out and say it, but they know that you didn't, because you promised them all these titles. You didn't give that to them. See, Jordan never went out on a runway with Scottie Pippen and said, we're not going to win just one, we're not going to win just two, we're not going to win just three. No, Jordan went out and did that shit. He didn't say he was going to do it. He went out and did it. Kobe didn't say they were going to win titles. He went out and did it. Okay? And Kobe didn't have a super team either. And, you know, don't get me wrong. You could consider, to a degree, Shaq and Kobe as a super team. I don't, for the pure fact that Shaq was a free agent and signed with the Lakers. Simple as that. Everybody knows it. It's not like these guys were requesting trades to go play with each other. And then when you put Jordan and when you take Jordan and the GOAT debate, and now we're going to take LeBron out for a few minutes, and you put Kobe in, okay? And Kobe's always going to be in it. Kobe, it's going to be 1A, 1B, and you can either do Kobe, Jordan, Jordan, Kobe. It really doesn't matter because they're the same player. They got viewed differently. You know, Kobe was viewed as like a ball hog, and Jordan was viewed kind of the same way. But here's the thing. If you watch the Last Dance documentary, and yeah, parts of it portray Jordan to be an asshole at practice, but you know what? Being an asshole is what's going to make your teammates play better. They're like, oh, we don't want to hear this guy bitching moan all day. You know what? We got to step it up. And guess what? That's what they did. And Jordan and Kobe are the same in that they were never afraid of the big moment. They were never afraid to take the big shot. Never afraid to do it. This is where LeBron comes back in. Who hit the clutch shots for the Heat when they won? Wasn't LeBron. Okay? When LeBron went back to Cleveland and they won a championship that year, who hit the clutch shot then? Oh, you guessed it. Not LeBron. Kyrie did. And for those who don't know, Ray Allen was very clutch in that Miami. I think it was the first championship where Ray Allen hit one of the clutch shots, and then the second year it was Bosh or it was Wade, whichever one. It's so far back I can't remember. But if you're going to have this GOAT discussion, okay, I'm sorry, it can't be LeBron and Jordan. It simply can't be. The only reason why it is because because people find it interesting. And don't get me wrong, I do as well. But you have to wait till LeBron retires and see where LeBron finishes up. Now, if LeBron does, in fact, run the table for 4 years, gets 10 titles, and and does some other things and passes a lot of Kobe stuff and gets close to Jordan in other areas. He's not going to as far as scoring titles. He's never going to touch him there. He's never going to touch him in certain accolades of Jordan. So you just take that off the table right there. And people say, well, you don't think LeBron's the GOAT because you're a Bulls fan and you grew up watching Michael Jordan and that's all you know is Michael Jordan. No. The reason why Michael Jordan is the GOAT is because, again, other guys flock to him. Okay? He didn't have to call up Dwayne Wade and be like, hey, listen, I'm going to be a free agent, so I'm going to go on ESPN, I'm going to put on this little special, and I'm going to take my talents to South Beach. No. That was just an ego-boosting jackass move. That wasn't needed. Okay? All you had to do was just come out, have your agent say, yeah, you know what, we're going to Miami. All right? And then there was that whole circus, again with the runway bullshit, which again wasn't needed at all. And LeBron in the 10 NBA finals he's been to, how many of them have gone to a Game 7? Several. How many of Jordan's? None. None. And LeBron gets hated on a lot because people say he tries to emulate Jordan in a way. He wears 23 and, he tries to be Michael Jordan. That's not why I don't hate on LeBron James. Listen, LeBron James is a talented basketball player. Okay? And LeBron James, okay, so he's a talented basketball player, right? You can't take away a man's talent, regardless of sport, regardless your hatred for a player, you never take away his talent, okay? My issue with this whole GOAT thing is, why is it everyone's just passing over on Kobe and it's just making it LeBron and Jordan? That's my issue with it. That's where I take the issue. Because LeBron James, again, is never going to touch what Kobe and Jordan did. He's never going to do it. And to say 7, it's not 7, it's 10. It's 10 titles to even get him in the discussion. Okay? It's going to take, and now he has to do it on LA. Now he has to live up to the Kobe mantra. Now he has to live on the Mamba mentality mantra. So for a guy who couldn't handle the pressure in Cleveland, that left, went to Miami, went back to Cleveland, and now went and formed another super team, why don't you try winning the next ones without Anthony Davis? Try that one. Because it took LeBron going to LA for Anthony Davis to go to LA, right? Okay. Now, mind you, when LeBron went back to Cleveland, Kyrie was already there. And I wouldn't call that Cavalier team a super team by any means. Yeah, they went and got Kevin Love and whatever, but still, it's Kevin Love. It's not a freaking super team. People for years have said Jordan and Pippen were a super team. It's not a super team. And people say that Jordan needed Pippen. No. See, you don't know who Scottie Pippen is if Scottie Pippen doesn't wind up at the Bulls. And regardless of the fact, everybody knows that he originally was not drafted by the Bulls. He wound up being traded to the Bulls. I believe Seattle, the Supersonics drafted him first. And then there was a trade within the draft. So he needed Jordan. Pippen needed Jordan to have Pippen's legacy. Okay? Jordan never needed Pippen. Jordan needed Jordan. And that's it. His royal heirness needed himself. LeBron, to his legacy, needed Dwayne Wade. He needed Chris Bosh. He needed Kyrie. He needed Anthony Davis. There's the difference. There's the difference. There's not even a debate on it. It's the pure difference. As simple and plain as that. That's the pure difference. Okay? Now, you could throw other accolades in there, like, this one kid I know, he's a kid, LeBron went to 16 All-Star games. Who gives a shit? That makes you a GOAT because you went to 16 friggin' NBA All-Star games? The biggest bullshit game of the year where all it is just friggin' street ball? Oh, let's just throw it up. Oh, alley-oop. Oh, alley-oop. Oh, who gives a shit? So what, Jordan went to 14? Whoopity-friggity-do. Who gives a shit? I don't care if that's really what you're gonna add into the debate of who's the GOAT. Just shut the fuck up, because that doesn't factor in. It does not factor in one bit. Scoring titles, being part of the NBA 50-year anniversary team, which LeBron is not a part of. As far as I know, it's not in his stat list. It's not in his accolade list, but it is in Michael Jordan's, and I'm sure it'll be in Kobe's too. But it's not in LeBron's. And there's other accolades, because yeah, I have no life, and I do podcasts and videos, and I go to work and I write shit down. This is what I do. Let's see as we go through the list. 9 times defensive first team. Let's go over to the LeBron side. Oh, it's non-existent. That's right. It's non-existent. And again, 10 scoring titles for Jordan to LeBron's 1. Jordan was a 3-time steals leader. LeBron, I don't see it there. I don't see it. Oh, here's one. First team ACC in college. LeBron didn't go to college. Now, LeBron doesn't get a knock for that. I'm not going to knock LeBron for that one, because LeBron chose to come out. When he came out, he went and skipped over college, which for some players it works out and for some it doesn't. And Kobe did the same thing. But now here's where this debate now is going to get a little interesting. See, with LeBron, everybody knew what they were getting. Cleveland knew what they were getting when they drafted him. When Kobe got drafted by the Hornets and traded to the Lakers, right? Nobody knew what Kobe was going to be. Nobody knew that Kobe was going to become this legendary LA Laker that you put up there with Magic and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Wilt Chamberlain, right? Nobody knew that. Nobody knew that. Nobody knew what Michael Jordan was going to be, even though he was good in college. You didn't know that Michael Jordan was going to become his Royal Airness and have a $1 billion brand and be this worldwide name. Nobody knew that. Nobody knew. But guess what, though? And here's the thing. It was expected of LeBron to be what LeBron is now. Okay? Wasn't expected of Kobe. Wasn't expected of Michael Jordan to be where they were and to become what they became. Okay? Was not expected. But it happened. It happened. And it's just that. Now, again, people are going to say, when you're watching the video and you'll comment on that I'm bashing LeBron. It's not bashing it. It's just taking facts. Okay? It's just taking facts, and it's one person's opinion based on a discussion that I didn't create. Okay? Let's just put it out there. I didn't create this debate. Okay? Somebody else did. Who? I couldn't tell you who. But everybody wants to debate it. So let's debate it. Okay? So let's debate it. I know why people think, listen, the younger generation of people after me that watched LeBron play and continue to watch LeBron play the way I watched Jordan play growing up. Okay? That's your GOAT. That's your GOAT of your generation. Michael Jordan's the GOAT in mine. People I went to high school with will tell you the same exact thing. Okay? Because you can have a GOAT in each generation, don't get me wrong. But when you want to do all time, LeBron's not there yet. LeBron's 4 blocks away. Okay? He's nowhere near the front door of the GOAT debate. Kobe and Jordan are already in the house. They're at the table. They're at the table. LeBron's not there yet. I'm not saying he's not going to get there, but right now he's not there. He's not even close. Not even close. And again, you can sit there, all right? You can sit there and you can tell me different. But just remember this, when you go into a debate with somebody, have your ducks in a row. Because I hit up one of my boys, and he does podcasts too, and that's what sparked me to wind up doing this earlier than I wanted to. So, and I formed the idea of let's have a round table, and these would be the topics. Jordan, Kobe in the GOAT debate, top 10 of all time, or you even do a top 20 of all time. And now here's the thing, when speaking of that, you're always going to have 1A and 1B. And to me and to other people, it's Jordan, Kobe, Kobe, Jordan. However you want to put it, okay? I would have no issue if other people said Kobe was the GOAT over Jordan. And you really can't say that one's the GOAT over the other. You really can't, because they're both, again, they're the same. They're the same style player. And I don't see one being the GOAT over the other. So it doesn't matter where you rank them, because it's still right there. It's so close that it just doesn't matter who you put where. That in the realm of reality, it's a virtual tie. I'm not saying, listen, again, LeBron gets there. LeBron's not there yet. And you could say, well, you know, he's got four NBA Finals and titles, but he lost 6 of them. So what the fuck does it matter now? What does it matter? Doesn't matter. You went to 10 and lost 6. You know, and that's like even in the NFL. People want to clamor Tom Brady's the GOAT. The hell he is. I don't care he's got 6 Super Bowls, and there's some scrutiny within some of them. Okay? You know who the GOAT is? That's an interesting one to who the GOAT is, because many say it's Montana, and I give a lot of people that. Right? But now here's the thing with that. if you want me to entertain that for a minute. Ready? The same people that tell me that errors don't matter, right? The errors don't matter. But in the Brady-Montana era, it does. Well, don't get me wrong, because it does matter. See, people say, oh, it doesn't matter what era you play. It does matter. See, because Joe Montana, like Michael Jordan, played in the grittier era of the NFL like Jordan did in the NBA. LeBron and Brady play in this pussy friggin' NFL where literally, if you breathe on Tom Brady, it's a personal foul, it's roughing the passer, and you get ejected from the game. Montana was taking hits upon hits upon hits, and the NFL was worse before that. If you watch Steeler Raider games, holy shit, from the 70s, oh god. But the point is that the error factor weighs in here, and it always will. See, Kobe played in the rugged era towards its tail end before it switched over into this friggin' ultra-sensitive NBA where, God forbid, when you block somebody's shot and the pinky slides off the ball and hits your hand and you're looking for a flagrant 2. All right? Come on with that shit. All right? It matters to the fact that people say that LeBron would have lasted in Jordan's era. You ever watch Bulls Pistons before Jordan put on 15 pounds of muscle? Jordan was getting thrown around like a rag doll, being put in chokeholds and getting body slammed like Andre the Giant. Okay? I remember it as clear as day, watching games like that. And there was no foul called then. Now it's a foul for everything. Hell, it's a foul if you don't tie your shoe right in the NBA. So don't tell me the error thing doesn't factor in, because it does. Because everybody says, well, he's already passed Jordan's scoring numbers and all this. Yeah, because it's a softer league. So LeBron's got more chances to score because he's going to be at the free throw line all the time, because he's like the Tom Brady of the friggin' NFL, flopping around and getting friggin' calls for nothing that's there. Okay? So it does factor in. And it factors in any sport when you want to have a debate of who the greatest of all time is. And which we'll get to that at some point. But for now, the main discussion is it's Jordan, it's Kobe, it's LeBron. Okay? Now, you're going to say, Jim, you said LeBron's 4 blocks away. He's not even in the debate. But if you're going to compare Jordan and LeBron, Kobe's involved. Kobe will always be involved. You say otherwise, you never watched a game of basketball. Never did. You never watched any of them play. Okay? Because I'm sorry. Because the Kobe-Jordan debate is going to happen. And it's not going to be nearly as aggravating as the LeBron-Jordan debate, because you can literally you could compare the two because again, even though it's a small sample size of what of what Kobe played in towards the tail end of the rougher NBA era, he got through it. LeBron would have never survived. Never survived. And for those who say that he would, watch him when he complains about the littlest, pettiest foul call. Picture him doing that in Jordan's era, Rodman's era back in the early 90s. Really? He would have survived? Nah, he wouldn't have survived. How could you even say he would have? He would have got destroyed. He wouldn't have lasted 2 seasons in the NBA. He friggin' would have wished that he friggin' took that friggin' scholarship to friggin' Duke or wherever it was that he had scholarships to. Okay? You know, and people say that I consider LeBron overrated. I don't think he's overrated at all. Again, he's one talented son of a bitch, and I give him that. Again, I don't take away people's talents. Okay? I know LeBron could beat me one-on-one in basketball because I haven't played basketball in 10 plus years, so whatever. LeBron would dunk all over my pasty white ass. It is what it is. So would Jordan, so would Kobe. But that's not the point here. The point is I don't say that LeBron's overrated. I don't hate LeBron James. I don't hate him. I hate when people are trying to force it on me or on others who are knowledgeable that he's better than Jordan. I don't see it. And then people say, well, he is, but he's not. But he's not. See, again, LeBron left and had to flock to other teams. And again, he left them in salary cap hell and left them with rosters these GMs didn't want. Like when he left the first time, it was like Antoine Jameson and Eric Snow and these guys who I don't even know how they made junior varsity. Come on. Really? He did that. And if you're a Laker fan and don't think he's going to do that to the Lakers when when little Bronny Jr. comes out and they team up in Cleveland together to win Cleveland one more championship before friggin' LeBron's hurrah, and then that's when and that's the thing. See, if he could do the 4-peat in LA, leave, go to Cleveland and win another championship, he'll not only have surpassed Jordan as far as a 3-peat, he'll have a 4-peat, but then he'll have a 5-peat. Okay? Which is unheard of. The 3-peat is unheard of. I don't care about LeBron's 2-peat because any team in the NBA who has a decent staff can do that, and it's been done countless times. The Lakers did it with Shaq and Kobe. They actually a 3-peat, and I think the Lakers without Shaq won back-to-back titles. San Antonio did it. So it could be done. So that's not something that says, hey, I'm better than Jordan. That doesn't say that to me. You have to look at it from this viewpoint. And again, it's all fact. For LeBron to be involved in this discussion, or if you think, or to take Kobe out of the discussion, which I'm sorry, I don't think he's ever taken out of the discussion. If he could outdo what Kobe did in LA, it might take Kobe out of the discussion. I doubt it because we'll always put Kobe in the discussion. But if he could live up to that mantra that Kobe set in LA, that plus, let's say, the 4-peat, and let's say he doesn't go to Cleveland to play with his son, that cracks the door open. Cracks the door open. Okay? And the other issue that I take with this whole debate is, and it's always the error thing. It just always is. And I know it's repetitive, but it always comes back to that, how I'm always told that doesn't factor in, and again, that LeBron would survive in that era. No, I'm sorry, how? How does he survive? Look at the way the NBA is now. Okay, watch an NBA game of today and watch an NBA game from the 90s. And you're going to see the polar opposites of what it used to be. Okay? You're going to see it's polar opposites. You're going to see Jordan going up for a layup, and he's getting friggin' whacked around all over the place. Not a foul, not a whistle in sight. LeBron, James Harden, Westbrook, all these guys that play now, they're all going to whine like a bunch of little 3-year-olds because you threw their binky away. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. But you see it. You watch it the same way I do. You watch basketball on the TV, right? You watch the little highlights on YouTube or whenever Facebook posts highlights or Instagram or Twitter, right? So you watch it all the same way I watch it. So you see the same thing I see. Okay? This is an oversensitive league now. And it has been for over 10 years, if not even longer. Because in the late 90s is when it really kind of really started twisting over a bit. But it was into the early 2000s, and you could kind of say after the Malice in the Palace with Artest is where it kind of really started getting more to the way it is now, which is a bunch of whiny little babies who want to foul for everything. These guys want to foul before they even walk in the arena. Literally, this is how bad it is. And it's one of the reasons why I kind of can't watch it anymore, because if I wanted to watch super teams, I go dust off my PS2 and play NBA Live. Okay? Because again, you didn't see in the 90s, you didn't see Charles Barkley and Sean Kemp and Gary Payton, all these guys calling each other up. And again, you can't win a title on my team. But if you can get me to sign with you guys, whatever team it would be. So we'll use, let's say the Utah Jazz, because for years they were a team that always they always could get there but can never win the big one. All right, so I use them as the example. Malone and Stockton. Okay, I didn't see Barkley call Malone. Hey, yo, mailman, listen. The 76ers want to trade me. You talk to the GM, see who's going to take. I'll come there. If I can't win a championship here, I'll win one there. You didn't see that. Because these guys knew, because these guys back then, it wasn't about, it wasn't even a thought. I'm told now that this is the new norm of basketball. And it really kind of started, I wouldn't say it's LeBron kind of started it with going to Miami. Golden State made it worse. Golden State literally was signing everybody and their friggin' mother because everybody was taking less money to go there. Okay? That's how Durant got his titles. Which, I'm sorry, that's how you got your titles. Again, a guy like Kevin Durant, I don't take your talent away, but you had to go to another team filled with superstars to win the big one. That's where these guys get the knock now. They don't get the knock because they're not talented. They don't get the knock because they have a bad game here or there. No, that's one of the things they get the knock for, because they're sensitive, soft. They're soft as baby shit, and they're little crybabies, and they have to go to other people's teams to win titles. And for some like LeBron, you leave them literally in a financial crippling position where they can't get out of for a while. And that's why Cleveland's going to suck until they get baby Bron, and then, if LeBron goes back and they win a title there, then okay. So you figure this. Let's say he runs the table. We're going to go back to this. He runs the table, right? He wins 4. Okay? He wins 4 because now he has 5 now, right? So I have 9. Okay? So I have 9. So he'll already had 3 more than Jordan. Okay? He goes to Cleveland, wins 1 with his son. So now he has 10. So now he has 4 more. That, again, it opens the door. It opens the door to possibly debating you being the GOAT. But it's going to take other things as well. And those are things you're not going to reach in the next 5 years. You're not going to win 9 more scoring titles. You're not going to be a 9-time defensive team member. You're not going to be like a 10-time this or have all these other accolades. You're not going to get them. You're not going to get there. You're just not. This is not enough time. That window for you is closing. It's closing every year. It's closing. And let's factor this in too. You may not even get to any of them. Not that you're going to get to them anyway. You may not even get another 2-3 titles because, you got to factor in injuries. Because, he may sprain a thumb and be out for 7 years. Who knows? who knows? Especially now in the NBA, when you got load management. Like, look at Kawhi Leonard as a prime example. The guy literally plays every third game because he needs a day or two to. And listen, I get basketball. You're running around, jumping around, and I get it. And some of these guys, like, look at Jimmy Butler. The one game he played in the finals, like it was game 4 or whatever it was, and he played. He literally sat down for 12 seconds and played. He played the whole game. Let's put it this way. Let's take the 12-second rest period out. He played the whole game. Played all 48 fucking minutes. Okay? I don't see LeBron playing 48 minutes. LeBron maybe plays 40, but he don't play 48. But not to digress from the topic at hand here. But if you really want to be serious about this debate, it starts with Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron comes in 10 years later. Because he has to finish his career out. Okay, so I won't say 10 years later. Let's say he retires in 5 years, which would put him at what? He's like 37 now, so he would be like 42. So let's put him in the GOAT debate 5 years after he's retired. And we'll see where he is then, as far as accolades, certain stats. And you can't even take, and I shouldn't even say that, but you can't take his stats and compare him to Jordan because they're going to be twice as much as Jordan, again, because of the era. So you see what I'm saying? This is where the error factor will always come back into play. It's always going to come back into play if you want to compare stats. Oh, well, Jordan career had 32,000 points, but LeBron had 62,000. Let's just hypothetically say that. Well, yeah, it's two different eras. And you could say, and not only that, but LeBron played longer. That's another factor. And yeah, Jordan had the year or two he played in Washington, and he really didn't need to do that. He just did it because he just, his love for the sport of basketball, and he just wanted to continue to play. And he was trying to make Washington a little bit better and a little more relevant. It didn't really work out. It was the tail end of his career, but hey, he was 38, still putting up 40 points a game at times. But still, the error thing always comes back. It's something you need to realize. You need to realize it. It's always going to factor in. See, it doesn't really factor in with Jordan and Kobe because, A, they played against each other, for one. Two, okay, even though it's the tail end of that era, Kobe's still very much a part of it to a degree. You can take their stats and match them up and say, well, Jordan had this, but Kobe had this, but then Jordan had that, and Kobe had less here. So you can't do that with Kobe and LeBron and Jordan. You can't do it. You can't do it. And even though Kobe played in a better part of the pussy league, as I like to call it, with LeBron, right? If you're going to have that debate, then you have to take Kobe's stats, which is going to be annoying to do it. You have to take his stats from when it got sensitive and past that. If you're going to compare Kobe and LeBron, see, if you want to have a debate with Kobe and LeBron about who the greatest Laker of all time is, you can't even have that debate because LeBron won't be there long enough to do that. Because everyone says that when LeBron's career ends, he'll be the greatest Laker of all time. I guess they forgot about Magic Johnson and Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and guys like James Worthy and so many others that played there. I guess they forgot about Kobe. Well, just saying. You can't even have that. That's a debate somebody wanted to have with me, and I said, you're out of your mind. I said, I'm not even going to entertain that stupidity. I'm going to entertain that stupidity. How do you want me to have a debate with you, okay, about who the greatest Laker of all time is, and you're going to use LeBron versus Kobe, okay? Again, for LeBron to sit at the GOAT table discussion, he's going to have to, before his contract ends, he's going to have to eclipse what Kobe's done. See, Kobe set the bar, and I don't know if LeBron can reach it. He may get close, but he ain't gonna reach it. You know, and again, I got to look at Kobe's career stats, and I could tell you, and I got to look at LeBron's career stats, and I'll tell you if he can do it. But you cannot put LeBron in the discussion of greatest Laker of all time. It just simply would be a slap in the face to those who played for the Lakers for so many years before LeBron, before Kobe, before Shaq, before Paul Gasol, before Brian Shaw, and before this guy and that guy and everybody else. Okay? It would just be utter slap in the face to them. And you could say the same if you want to talk about the NBA now with guys on the Celtics even. Okay? With Jason Tatum. People say he'll go down as the greatest Celtic of all time. Well, then you're pretty much saying Kevin McHale was a nobody, and Robert Parrish was a nobody, and Bill Russell was shit, and Larry Bird's non-existent. And you can even say with the Knicks as well, which LeBron never had to play in a playoff series like the way the Bulls-Knicks used to play, because those games were back and forth, and you want to talk about physical. Those were some physical games. And there's been physical games, I wouldn't say, listen, in the past 10, 15 years, let's just go 10. In the past 10 years, I haven't seen any physicality the way you used to in those games. Or even Bulls Pistons in the early 90s. Before Jordan figured out where the weight room was. Okay? LeBron's never had to play in a game like that. He's never had to play in that hostile type environment. Literally, Bulls Knicks was it goes down as one of the most volatile basketball feuds of all time, because you had Jordan, Pippen on one side, and then you had Starks and Ewing on the other, and Oakley, right? Can't forget about Charles Oakley, right? And they just hands down, they would go back and forth. Literally, those were 7-game series. And can you picture if the Bulls were in the Western Conference and the Knicks, of course, being in the Eastern Conference, and they had to go up against each other in the finals? My God, would those be some great finals games? Probably be the same end result. Knicks not winning them, but then again, who knows? And, and if you think, and even a guy like Patrick Ewing, he was a physical player in that time too. Can't forget about that. Larry Johnson is another guy who was physical in his prime then too. But you didn't see these guys forming super teams. It's not like Ewing, who sat there on the Knicks forever and never won a title. It's not like he called Clyde Drexler and Akeem Olajuwon over in Houston, with Vernon Maxwell, and say, hey, you know what, the Knicks really fucking suck. I can't stand John Stark, so hey, you know what, I'm getting traded to you guys. You guys ready to win that chip now? No, that never happened. Never happened. Okay? Because, see, in the NBA now, see, back then, and this is the difference between the NBA then and now, and you're probably going to say, Jim, we've gotten off the topic of Jordan, LeBron, and Kobe. This will factor in, right? Back then, when Jordan and Magic and Bird and all those guys, when they all played, they had this thing called loyalty. Right? Loyalty. Where's that now? It's long gone, just like even in the Mafia with Omerta, right? When you had guys like Gotti who would keep his mouth shut, but then you had you had the whining, sniveling snakes, like Henry Hill, who would rat on everybody, and Gravano, right? And you'll say, well, what does that have to do with the other? It's loyalty is the factor here. Jordan had that with the Bulls. And if you think about this too, if you watch The Last Dance, just remember, I forget who the GM of the Bulls was, because I know he's just a fat piece of shit, which is pretty much who the evil character of Space Jam is based upon. And this is where Jerry Reinsdorf, is the owner of the Bulls, is an absolute moron for even letting this happen. He was trying to get rid of Phil Jackson in the middle of the last championship year. He had Phil Jackson's replacement already picked out. Just picture this, right? Let's go back to 97, 98. Right? Here's the end to the second three-peat. Jordan doesn't leave. Pippen's still there. You still have Rodman. You still have Phil Jackson. if you don't think they're winning another three after those other three, after the second three-peat, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. Jordan would have had 9 titles. So you can blame Bulls ownership for ruining a dynasty. That's you can ruin them. You can blame them for that because they in fact did. It's right there in the documentary for all to see. If you didn't see it, you better watch it because it's one of the best documentaries ever, and it really shows you how in depth Jordan really was. And don't be surprised you get a last dance too about Kobe, because that's going to be an interesting one to see. LeBron would probably get one too, but again, even if LeBron got a last dance documentary based upon himself, for me the focal point's going to be the disloyalty he had to Cleveland. Cleveland is your home team, and you, because you couldn't handle the pressure, you said, fuck you, I'm out. Instead of going to the GM and ownership being like, listen, I want to win you guys a title. This is what we got to do. You were drafted to be the face of the team, and not once did you use that to your advantage. Not once. You used it as a way out. And then you wonder why certain fans hated you for so long. And don't get me wrong, those same fans that hated you are the same ones that welcomed you back, and that's why they're hypocrites. Because listen, if I was a Cleveland Cavalier fan, which thank God I'm not, okay? If you said in that stupid little friggin' interview you had to do, I'm taking my talents to South Beach, and then came back to Cleveland, I would still go to Cavalier games. I'll still root for the Cavaliers, but I would never root for you. That's the difference between the NBA now and the NBA of yesteryear, is the loyalty factor. See, that's something, and again, it's gone by the wayside. It's gone by the wayside for the longest now. It's not about sticking with your team through thick and thin anymore. It's about, it's become more of a business. And if you don't realize that as a fan of any sport, sports used to be sports, and then it changed. And it just changed when these athletes realized it's not about entertaining you. It's about, listen, and I get it. They got families they got to worry about. So, but they won't be loyal to you because you root for them. They're going to be loyal to their wallet and to how much they can make. And I get that at some point that was going to happen with sports, where it was going to become a business type thing. And listen, I've seen guys on teams I root for leave for bigger, better contracts. It just is what it is, but it's the way you leave. See, the way LeBron did it was just like egotistical, like, I'm too good for you, Cleveland, so you can kiss my ass. It's the way I would take it if I'm a Cleveland Cavalier fan. And that's the way I take it as an outsider looking in. But then the same ones that were butthurt by it are the same ones, oh, LeBron's back, oh, yeah, oh, great, right? Come on. Don't be a hypocrite if you're going to be a fan of sports. Just don't do it. Just please don't do it. And that's again where, like, could you imagine if Michael Jordan did that? He would have been labeled the biggest jerk off in sports if he did that. But you didn't have that in that time. Nobody ever thought, I'm going to have a friggin' interview for an hour talking about how I'm going to leave Cleveland, and then all of a sudden at the end, like Maury Povich, you have the big reveal. There was no need for that. Just like there was no need when you went to Miami and you had the whole friggin' runway shenanigans with Bosh and Wade and Pat Riley, and you all stood there like like the fucking four jerk-offs, and you were like, oh, we're gonna win all these titles. And then you wonder why Heat fans were pissed at you. See, and now this is the dumb part too. When these guys leave or whatever happens, and then you start burning their jerseys. I've never understood this. You spend hundreds of dollars on players' jerseys, and I know because I do it. Okay? And then you burn it. You think, like honest, and here's a prime example, and like you think when you, okay, So like when LeBron left Cleveland the first time, we're going to use this as an example because we'll keep it at this. Okay? When LeBron left the first time and people were going on Facebook and MySpace, and yeah, MySpace, that's how long ago this was, and they were recording themselves burning LeBron James jerseys. You think that affected him? Think he cared? He probably laughed at you and said, this guy spent $200 on my jersey, now he's burning, what an asshole. Because that's what I would say if I was LeBron James. That's what I would say. That's what I would say if Kobe left the Lakers, if I was a Laker fan, and let's say Kobe went and formed a super team somewhere and did the whole shenanigan thing that LeBron. See, that's where I hate on LeBron for. There was no need to have all that bullshit. There was no need for that at all. None. No need for it. Goats don't do that. Goats don't do ignorant shit like that. You chose to do it. You chose to do that. That's not what a goat does. A goat does what Kobe and what Jordan did. And that's when the chips were down, they elevated the game. They adapted and overcame to different situations within the game. You couldn't do that. Again, Jordan was never afraid of the big shot. We all know Kobe wasn't. We sure as fuck know Kobe was never afraid of taking any shot for that matter. If he was still here right now, he'd probably take a shot off my deck into a friggin' hoop somewhere if he could. Okay? LeBron needed Ray Allen and Bosh and Wade to win his title. He needed Kyrie. He needed Anthony Davis. Jordan didn't need Pippen. Pippen needed Jordan. Shaq and Kobe needed each other to get it started. Okay? But it's not like they called each other and said, hey, let's form a super team. LA called up Shaq and said, hey, this is what we're going to offer you. And Shaq said, okay. And signed away. And there it went. And there went the legacy of Shaq and Kobe that started. Okay? And then here's the other thing. And this is where he needs to emulate Kobe. Because now that I stated that he had to have Anthony Davis to win the title, now you got to take Anthony Davis out of the picture. The same way Shaq and Kobe were taken away from each other. Okay? Now LeBron's got to win it without Anthony Davis. And he has to win two without him. That's what he's got to do. It still doesn't put him in the greatest Laker conversation of all time, because it simply doesn't. But if people are going to try to compare, they're going to try to compare Kobe and LeBron, that's one way he has to emulate it. That's one way he has to do it. Because till then, he's not going to be on, not that he's ever going to be on the same level as Kobe, but it gets him, so like Kobe's here, and it'll get LeBron about there. That's where it'll get him. Okay? But LeBron will never do it. LeBron will never do it because he always needs that other guy. Because that other guy is going to be the one, if he takes a big shot and misses, they're going to blame him first. But don't forget, people also looked at you, LeBron, and said, why didn't you take the big shot when you had the ball in your hands? And what was your answer? I believe it was, I didn't have a good enough shot. Kyrie was open. So Cleveland fans should be thanking Kyrie for that championship, not LeBron. I'm sorry. And you could tell me different. And that's fine. But I'm not going to sit there and tell you that you're wrong. You know, again, these are everything that I say, whether it's here on YouTube or it's on podcasts or it's in person. These are my opinions. Okay? You don't have to like them. And that's all well and good with me. But if we're going to debate it, I at least expect you to listen to my opinion the way I listen to yours. Okay? That's how debates work. I see there's people at work that want to debate me on things, and then they start with the stupid shit. So I got to shut them down. I got to shut them down right then and there. And then they don't want to debate it, and then they get all mad. And it's like, okay, well, first off, you come at me, and I view myself as a very knowledgeable sports fan, and a lot of people will tell you as such that I know. I for one will debate you. I will not go into a debate without having everything in facts and whatnot. Because in a debate, I'm gonna have to have rebuttals for things. That's just the way a debate works. Okay. So when we do, and like I said earlier, I hit up my boy Kev. He's got his podcast that he does on Spotify, Hood GMs. I think it's supposed to be Hood Gems, who knows? But go check that out because it's pretty good. That's actually the one that started me to have the GOAT debate tonight, to do the podcast and the video. So I would check him out definitely. I think me and him are gonna try to link up to do something. It's like a little round table thing. I want to do Jordan versus Kobe, top 10 of all time. See, but when you're going to do debates like that, okay, right, especially top 10 of all time, you're going to have everybody's stats in mind. See, when I do a podcast or I do a video, I jot down things throughout the day that I see, for like talking points and whatnot. And if I'm going to discuss a certain thing, like this for prime example, I wrote down a lot of Jordan's accolades, but I'm not going to go through every single one of them because we all know what they are. I didn't write down all of LeBron because there really wasn't that many to write down, as far as I'm concerned. Because you don't need to have all the accolades to have the discussion. Just like you don't need to, for Kobe Jordan, you literally have to look at every single stat. You just do. But again, they're both the GOAT. Like, in the world of reality, which I hope we all live in, if you don't agree that Jordan and Kobe combined are not the GOAT, then you don't know sports the way you think you know it then. And I'm sorry, you just don't. And also too, I took time out of Thursday Night Football to do this, so I can only imagine what the score is right now because before I came down here, Tannehill already threw all over the Colts. So I know last they were up 7-0. But I'm gonna go check in on that now. And again, for anybody who wants to debate anything with me, I'm open to it. Whether you want to ask me questions in my email, you want to send me a DM on Twitter. Like I always put where you can reach me on my podcast. I should probably do it here too. Obviously, right now with everything going on, I'm sure people don't want to meet to do it in person. I mean, if we do, obviously we got to take all the safety precautions into play. But I would love to have an open forum discussion with people about things. But just be forewarned, be knowledgeable in doing it, because I'm one that if you start talking out of your ass, it's going to get shut down right then and there. Because then I'm just going to hit you with every fact real quick like a freaking Gatling gun. I'm just going to and you'll be done. You'll have nothing to say. You'll sit there speechless. That's it. Probably have another podcast up tomorrow. If not, I'll definitely do one Saturday with all my football picks. Try to get all the spreads in there too. Tackle some other things. Do have to do a video to actually respond to a comment I got from my uncle. You didn't think I saw that, Uncle Joe? I did. So we'll discuss the Trevor Lawrence thing. I'll see maybe if figure something out. Maybe, Uncle Joe, if you want to ask me some questions, you got my number. Maybe I'll do one in the Connery voice for you. Who knows? But till then, listen, everybody, stay safe out there. Remember, tomorrow bars close at 10, and don't have more than 10 people in your house because the Cuomo people are watching. They're watching. All right. I don't really bring politics into my videos, but COVID comes out after 10. I got to I do a little joke about that. But till then, mask up, be safe out there, and as always, peace.